8 of the best teams from all around the globe have gathered here in Arlington, Texas to see which team will reign supreme and lift that beautiful ECS trophy. Only one team can walk away and take home $225,000. So strap yourselves in as the action continues here and now. This is the Esports Championship Series.
They'll do what they can. They've got to battle through the smoke. Abel J looking for his turn. Oh my goodness, he's got all four.
Oh, that's fantastic! 10-second defuse. Can he get the one kill and go for it? He's gonna go straight for it. 5 seconds, 4 seconds left. Circuit. No! The 4 kills!
But they're still gonna commit. Big spray down on the cards of Breezy. There's 4 of them! That is absolutely magnificent.
He's baiting his teammate. So, that's disgusting from Keisarato. How is this turning around? His teammate's still just waiting there. He gets taken out. Keisarato will deliver all the kills. What a ridiculous ace.
The grenade is beautiful. Oh, he's gonna line them up. He's done it! This guy is something special.
To follow the direction of the sound, and there's 2 for Zywoo.
After a nail-biting day 1, we are back in the Esports Stadium Arlington for day 2 of the ECS Season 8 finals. 6 world-class teams, but by the end of the day, only 2 will make it through to join Liquid and Astralis in tomorrow's semi-finals. My name is FACEIT, your desk host for the duration of this weekend. And joining me up on the desk, we have the lovely Launders and the wonderful Christopher. Gentlemen, how are you doing this morning?
I'm super well. I mean, it's going to be a good day, and we're starting off with my former team playing, so I can't be, like more excited than I've been in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. We've had a lot of great action going on yesterday. And today, we've got even more of it, haven't we, Launders?
Yeah, we do. I think we had the bracket we expected. We got all the underdogs kind of went into the lower bracket. EG and, I'm going to try this one more time. Liquid and Astralis both made it through. Yeah. So that's all good. Don't have to worry about them. They get a day off so they can be at full strength. An even harder duel for the teams that make it through. But you never want the team who's the favorite. You never want them to lose to somebody because of circumstances where they were tired, because they want them to be at full strength when they get taken down. So if these teams qualify through, they beat them tomorrow. That's gonna mean even more, and it's great. I just love how the bracket's been laid out. You normally never get this. You never get this at a tournament. There's always one big upset, and yesterday everybody who got cleaned was an underdog.
Yes, exactly. I mean, were you expecting any upsets coming into this, Chris?
I mean, there's more debatable about if the games would have been more closer. Like, for example, I was expecting NiP to play much more closer against Liquid there. But in the same time, I know the guys that well, so I know they're a little bit pissed about it, but in the same time, they're going to be giving everything for it. So today is going to be a completely different day. It's also best of 3 for them, so they're going to be feeling more prepared and ready for this battle against Avangar. And then Avangar was like a little bit against EG. I felt that was like kind of like a sloppy game, but EG was just a better team there during that game. And Shark was like really close to winning over Astralis there. So that would be actually the real close upset that could have happened. But in the same time, I agree with you. At the end of the day, it's like we got the #1 team in the world and #4 team in the world, if I don't remember correctly.
FNX 3, I think.
Yeah, and #4 is Liquid, if I don't remember.
Yeah.
So we have top 4 in a way already qualified for playoffs. So now we just need the last 2 ones in a way. So then it will be a good playoffs.
Yes, exactly right, Christopher. And you guys at home can join in the action too. Make sure you're following @ECS on socials and using the hashtag ECS8. We love reading through all of your tweets, of course. But as you were saying, Launders, this has kind of been a dream bracket, right? As you were saying, this doesn't normally happen in tournaments.
Yeah, it just, for one reason or another. I mean, if you look at if you look at the odds on an upset, like some of these like 3.2 to 1.5 or 2 point whatever, it's a match where you play over 10 times and it's a best of 1, then 4 out of 10 times the underdog will win. That's going to happen, and that's just the nature of the game in any sport or any esport. And yesterday we just had a situation where the 60% team won every time. So I think that's great for us and the fans at home who get to watch, because you see the bracket play out to kind of honor the seeding for the teams that got through, and there was a situation where Sharks were 6 HP from taking the first map from Astralis and completely throwing everything through a loop, but that didn't happen. So count your blessings.
Yeah, exactly.
Count
I
your
mean,
blessings.
just talking about Astralis there, obviously we're not going to be seeing them and Liquid competing today, but Sharks gave them a run for their money. So were you expecting Fnatic to at least take a map off them in that best of 3?
I mean, as a Swede, I was cheering for them the whole way. So I'm lying to myself if I was saying that I would be cheering for Astralis, but it would be different maybe if it was against my countrymen. So I would be like maybe going, like all the analysts and tires, people are always going for, the #1 team in the world there. But, I have to believe for my countrymen and the Swedes. And I know Fnatic has been playing very good recently. I'm just exactly excited every time to watch them play. Because, I mean, when Flush and Golo was coming back to the team and Driga Masters, especially when I was there in the spot and seeing them actually lifting the trophy, that was pretty cool. I mean, it was still a little bit like I wanted an FP, but in the same time, like any given day, I would be just happy with seeing the Swedes winning there. So I'm just excited to see how Fnatic can do it today and proceed to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys have missed any of the action at home, fear not. We're going to give you a little recap of exactly what has happened. We're going to be starting off with our format. Obviously, this features all of the teams that have competed, including the ECS online season. And I brought it up yesterday, but Vitality, they aren't here. They are the defending ECS Season 7 champions, but they didn't make it through the online season. Is there anybody else, Launders, that you're kind of surprised that we're not seeing here?
That's a good question. I guess the fact that a team like ENT isn't here, and I was just thinking Vitality made that interesting to me because they also kind of they got rid of NBK, which was a controversial kind of drawback at the very least. It's hard for people on the outside to know what goes on in a team that can cause something like that to happen because all we can see is stats for the most part. But we know that since it's happened, they've had middling results at best. And now there's even more spotlight on the fact that, ZywOo has just been such an unreal superstar for them. And in a game like Counter-Strike where individual efforts can win games, how much of his individual efforts have actually brought Vitality some of their most important victories. So
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but they are a very highly ranked team that's not here.
Yeah, and of course you can see the progression of the teams that are here in the Esports Stadium Arlington through the 5 weeks of the ECS regular season. Obviously, Avangar and Sharks claimed the most money in the first 2 weeks, which is a massive achievement. So they claimed their spot as the first 2 here in Texas, and then week 3 saw NiP and EG going through, week 4 Astralis and Liquid, no surprises there, and week 5 Fnatic and MIBR to round off the competition. So as we've been saying all weekend long, we've been seeing some incredibly strong teams coming into this.
Yeah, people don't recognize Sharks. Some of us who have been watching the online season do, but for a lot of people, this is a brand new org. You know what I mean? They don't know. This is the land where they find out about them and they become fans of them. So glad to have seen that they had that performance yesterday, where in a lot of people's eyes, it's the same thing as a victory. It was just the best one to opening match. But if you're a fan of Sharks or anybody who's just even a fan of Astralis, you see that, you're like, wow. I really feel like Sharks played well that game as opposed to Astralis just had a terrible game. It was a little bit of both, but definitely Sharks played well. And so I think they'll make a lot of new fans at this land, and they've shown how they got here in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. And we can obviously see our Group A bracket, how all the games played out yesterday. Evil Geniuses and Liquid coming out on top of those best of ones, and Team Liquid eventually making it to the stage for the semi-finals. Now we're going to be moving down into the lower bracket, where we're going to be kicking off with Avangar versus NiP, and then the winner of that, they're not done yet. They don't just make it through to the semi-finals. They've got to face Evil Geniuses, which is going to be a huge task, right?
Yeah, I mean, those 2 big games that's coming up, Avangar and NiP, I think Sean was mentioning yesterday, NiP has usually always have a little bit more issues in playing against CIS teams. So, starting off that day, and especially my former team, I'm just excited for that one. But if they make it through, they have to play against EG. It's been since the Energy team joined EG, they've been really solid and going up and up and up, even though they had a hiccup there and there. But, that's going to be a beautiful game, and I'm excited to just see how, everything plans out.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously these are all best of 3s today, and that makes such a huge difference, doesn't it, Launders?
Yeah, it is. It's what Chris was harping on yesterday. We've all been waiting for. We got finally 2 yesterday at the end of the day, and they totally delivered with Fnatic Astralis especially. I wish that went to a 3rd map, but yeah. Unfortunately it didn't. But we still got to see, how good are these teams across maps where they have a veto, where they have to play a map they don't necessarily want to. I think that's a big tell. And yeah, that was definitely very exciting. So we are looking forward to more best of threes today.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you see Fnatic, as you said, losing out there to Astralis, but that doesn't mean they're out of the competition. They're going to be moving into our second matchup of Group B, where they'll be facing the winners of Sharks versus MIBR. We're going to be kicking this off with some pretty heart-wrenching games, right? Some of these teams are going to be going home. Obviously, we can see Avangar versus NiP kicking things off, and then Sharks versus MIBR. I think this is the time where you really need everybody to be stepping up, right?
You do. I think the really interesting thing, I mean, this is, again, we've got more even strength type of games. I feel like there's a lot to talk about with both the matchups. I'm sure we'll get to them, but I'm more curious, like, what you think, Chris, about the best of 3 with Avangar and NiP, because I didn't really see like them being that impressive yesterday, but that they also played against Liquid, who they looked awesome on Mirage. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a little bit. I think I was. I was only expecting the game, so I wasn't really here on the desk regarding that match. But I was actually expecting them to play another map than Mirage.
That's right.
Even though I know, like, I think I was looking at it in the end, it was between like Inferno, Mirage, and then maybe Overpass.
Yeah.
And those 3 maps was the ones that I actually cleared out, saying, okay, it's gonna be one of those 3 maps. But I was a little bit curious why they went for the Mirage pick, mostly because I know that NiP has been really solid lately on Inferno. So I was thinking at least they're gonna put up a fight in, even though everyone knows, at least before, Liquid has been really, really, really good again, like on Inferno specifically. So. In a way, it makes sense that they actually went for the Mirage and actually ended up on that map. But in the same time, looking at it like after yesterday, 4-16, that's not a good start of the tournament. But I would be like, I know the mindset, and I know everyone of the players love best of 3. So I'm expecting something else against especially Avangar. And I mean, Avangar also had like a little bit problematic game against EG, and it was a little bit sloppy from both of the teams in that game.
That's fair.
So I mean, I'm expecting a much more better like in both of the teams, like regarding the players, a little bit more, helping, their star players in both of the teams a little bit more from everyone. So I'm just waiting to actually the game starts. I don't really have anything special to say, to be honest, because like for me, it's the end of the day. I love CS. I just love watching it. So for me, it doesn't really matter which team it is, because I'm gonna sit there with my popcorn in my knee, and just sitting there drinking my Coke, and just having a good time. That's it.
Extra butter.
Well, if you guys want to join Chris with your popcorn in your lap, you can get tickets to join us in the Esports Stadium Arlington for this weekend's semi-final and grand final games. Make sure you head on over to ecs.faceit.com where you can claim your tickets, because it's going to be an absolute mental weekend of Counter-Strike. I think that's safe to say. But we're going to start talking about our first team, Avangar. I know you said there, Chris, you were kind of expecting a little bit more from them yesterday, but they were facing EG, so it was a baptism by fire.
I mean, the cool thing that they were also trying a little bit similar what EG were doing, like a lot of pushes against long, but they got punished a lot with that. So they didn't have like a good half at all. I mean, they were eventually could scrap up 5 rounds there in the end on the T side on Dust 2. And they actually had a fighting chance in the second half, because you saw them like go up to like 10-10 if I don't remember, or 10-9. But then like things kind of like fell apart there, at least in my opinion. But I'm expecting a lot of different things from all of their players. The game was always the aim, and he's been playing well like for the last couple of months, so pretty much the whole year. So he was doing his part, but I'm expecting more of the rest of the guys in the team to actually step up their game. That's how I at least look at it.
Yeah, my big issue with Avangar and like trying to read where they're at is that the previous results up until this LAN don't feel like they mean so much, because it's just been so off and on, like such a big dip, but you know that dip isn't representative just as much as their performance at the major might not be representative of where they're at now. And so when we're trying to figure out where they're at, we look at this match yesterday and you're like, well, that was a sloppy match. There were some good individual plays. They definitely looked maybe a bit better than people expected. Maybe they could have pulled out a win on CT side if like every single clutch went their way, but that's unrealistic. So how good are they going to be today? That's the very, very big question. But I will say, of the matches yesterday and of the underdogs, I think Avangar looked maybe the best. I think for me it was like Sharks, then Avangar, then NiP, and then MIBR in terms of who was playing above expectations or below expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with that in the end, mostly because we look at the results and how many rounds each team got. But like, just in general, like of all those 4 underdogs teams that was playing, and then they actually get a win or surprise in the top teams, like they were probably the second best one at least.
Yeah.
I mean, just purely about the results, but looking around the whole like game itself and how they played against each team's individual and like performing the skill, like someone is really having an off day and someone actually feeling it, or someone is like I'm not really like there yet. So like Avangar, like I know like in the end, like I know a lot of their players like AdreN and Sanji, they haven't been really performing to like what I want them to perform, and I think AdreN is still a super good player, so I'm very excited and waiting, eager to actually see him to actually be performing to a level that everyone remembered him for. You know?
I feel like there's no way they made that major run without AdreN's like experience. Like the way he looked at it, it was so fatherly. He was like, you know, it's just great that we're here, and I love that my sons are able to have this experience along with me. You know, I'm already a major champion. Yeah. That was great. Now they get to experience it, and I love that we faced Astralis and lost. You know, we got some experience. We'll just do it again next time. And I think that calmness in the team and the experience, and the guy, you know, you're sitting beside a guy you know he's been there before. That always helps. So I think, yeah, you can't take him off. Man.
It was literally exactly that. I remember speaking to him after their win in the online season, doing a little interview with him, and he was saying that the team felt this aura coming from AdreN because he had this skill, he had this experience, and he could keep them calm and focused. And yeah, it was Astralis, right? They weren't expecting to win. Nobody was expecting them to win at all. But it's kind of interesting what you bring up there with the results for Avangar. Obviously second in Starlight Berlin, first at Blast Moscow, but then dipping off in Star Series Season 8. How do you kind of place them?
I don't know where I should place them, to be honest, because you don't even know, like, I don't know, like at least a top 10 team, I would say.
It's hard, right? It's kind of like you just want to like take them out of the top 10 just for a second and just see where they do now.
Yeah.
It's like once you take like over a month break, it really feels like you just got to see how they do. It feels like a mentality for a lot of teams at boot camp. They're like, well, let's find out how good we are. Like, while all these teams have been playing tournaments, we've been boot camping. I have no idea how good they are. We felt we were playing good, but we were playing scrims, right? Yeah. They were playing actual matches. So there's only so much you can feel, and then once you actually get to LAN, you find out a lot. So it feels like you need to take a siesta from the actual HLTV rankings to really find out where you feel like you're at. Because I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to be seeing exactly where they're placing as they come up to face against NiP in a best-of-3. Chris, I know you weren't up on the desk for the NiP game, but I know we were talking in the green room, and you were saying they still have a little bit more to show, these guys from NiP.
Oh, for sure. I mean, ever since I got replaced, quite funny, they have been stepping up a lot. I'm actually very excited to see them play. I've seen a lot of things that Twist are doing for them now. The team itself got a main offer. Lekker's been playing even better. Like Plopsky's been really going off as the young kid as he should be, and Forrest is Forrest like always. So I'm seeing a lot of big improvements. But at the same time, there's also been a little bit of question mark regarding it, because I see the improvement, I hear the improvement from a lot of people talking about the team, but we haven't seen that thing yet. I mean, they played really well in Blast in Denmark, Copenhagen. They came second there. They like played really well in general. They could have won the final if you ask me. But I think a lot of people would say no, they shouldn't, or they just couldn't just come second there. But I felt like in general they had a really good chance. They played really well during that whole tournament. Sadly, the last time they were playing, the EPL group stage, where it felt like they had it. They should have passed forward, like through. But North won over them 2-0, and especially over like 2 overtimes on the first map. And they just needed to win 1 map to actually qualify for the LAN finals. But that's just how the system works there.
Happens,
so it's like it's a little bit annoying, and it happened in last season when I was playing with the team there as well. It was a little bit annoying because it felt like, at least then we should have qualified there, or at least make it to the second stage.
We're talking about like 2 rounds or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah. So
sucks.
So it's really sucks for them. But at the same time, they're here. They're still in the group stage here. They have the chance to qualify. And I even said it yesterday. I expect them to come to the playoffs. That's at least my fate to the team, and I'm also, because I'm biased, because I played in the team before, but at the same time also the Sweden. I want both of the Swedish team to perform really good.
Yeah.
Of course, a little bit more for NiP.
5 Canadian teams, that's all I'd be talking about too. So
proud moments. But obviously they've kind of taken the longer route to get here, right? They're gonna, if they are gonna make it to the playoffs, they've got to beat Avangar, and then they've got to go up and face another best-of-3 today. Do you think it's possible, Maunders?
I do. I think I slightly favor Avangar, but again, like I just don't have like that much data to work with that I feel like is relevant. So I think, at NiP you're going to be stronger in a best-of-3 at least, and then they're also not playing against Liquid. So, we might just see a better NiP they'll have some time to talk after yesterday. It's hard for me to say that, you know, just because of yesterday's results, they're going to like play just as badly or just as well for either team. But I also just feel like Avangar will play even better than they did yesterday as well. So I'm favoring Avangar right now, mentally.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to take a closer look at 2 of our players from each team as we put them together in our head-to-head. Now, I really like doing these because we can see the comparison of the stats from the past couple of months. Is there anything that kind of jumps out to you there, guys?
Well, I'm just happy to see my beautiful boy Patrick there, so I'm like, I always want to touch, you know, his face on the monitor there. But, you know, Patrick has, sorry that I'm even saying his first name, but Forrest has been playing well for, you know, forever. So, like, for me, like, I'm always excited to see him play. I think he's still the best player in my book. It's always going to be like that, but in the same time, I'm very biased, so that's another thing. But Buster is quite interesting to see. He's actually one of the highlight players that ECS has been providing here, mostly because most of the people are, when they're talking about Avangar, it's game time, all that meme things, and you know, sometimes they throw in AdreN there, they even put in, you know, Sanji sometimes. I mean, they put in everyone in the team, but now they're showing here a Buster. I mean, you just look at the stats there. You know, he's been performing well as well for quite a while now, so it's kind of interesting for me to see his names. It's bringing it up there because I haven't heard someone really talk about him specifically in quite a while.
Yeah, I have a question. So for the, let's say for the veto, for example, there's like a high chance of Mirage could get played again. For example, they both play Mirage. Because Avangar played, or sorry, because NiP played Mirage yesterday, does that work in Avangar's favor at all, or is that not something that's really worth looking at if you're like the team that's going to play a team from yesterday that played a map you're going to play on?
No, like I don't think like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day like this. I think if NiP wants to go and play this map again, I mean they're open to it because I'm pretty sure they're not happy with how they played yesterday, and I know 110% they will be performing much more better on Mirage if they go into play it again.
Any thoughts on just what it was about? Because I remember we were talking about Mirage like while it was happening. Some of those early rounds, like maybe too many B hits, if you remember. Was there anything like general overview type stuff that you feel like NiP should be? Was it fundamentals or was it tactics, or what was the weaknesses? Do you think?
I remember the first gun round very specifically. I think that they forced part a lot of SGs in the beginning, so they didn't really have a lot of utility for first gun run. But one thing that I noticed where they looked like Rest was supposed to smoke window / top main, but they strafed out, and you can see he was very late to Palace, and he actually got punished for it. So they actually were 5-on-4 directly in the round. And when you were looking just for like 20 seconds, felt like they was hiding behind the boxes top main, and nothing happened with it, and then did a late hit on B. So it felt like Liquid had an idea what's going on, especially for the first gun run. So they didn't even try to do something, you know, like not normal to see or untraditional, like they were like throwing something out there. So for me, I want to see more explosive, and I know it was shown a little bit of those rounds they won against Liquid yesterday. Like Twist was there aggressive there on Cat, would have got a kill on Connector guy, like I got a kill in the window guy, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I'm expecting a lot of more that kind of things, and a lot of more like gather up attacks and forces, and a little bit more not on the traditional timing spots at least.
Yeah, we know Chris likes a good default.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Well, we've been talking about it a lot. I think it's time to get into our map vetoes. This is going to sort of set the stage for what is going to be happening in this best of 3. Chris, are you expecting anything in particular from this?
Well, I already wrote it down before the segment started here. So I wrote down Inferno Dust to Overpass / Train. Okay. That was my 4 picks, because you know you can't pick all 3 maps. But in the same time, now when Lawrence was mentioning it, I wouldn't be surprised if Mirage would be getting in there. But yeah, see,
there he is.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mirage, nailed Train, it. Overpass. So I mean, for me, I had at least 2 wrongs directly. So I removed that. But I know, for example, when I play with NiP. We always like to play Avangar on Overpass, so at least have an opening for it.
Yeah.
We weren't afraid, at least, not having it open in a veto. And I think like ever since I played against Avangar when I was in the team, when we started to actually play against it, because there was a lot of things. They were a good team, they're up and coming team, but it took a long while, like before we actually start meeting them or facing them. I mean, and I know that they're always open to play Overpass against us then. So Overpass and Train, like I know like Avangar started playing more and more Train, and NiP has always been open to playing Train, and Mirage has been like more of like a suited #1 map for NiP. It's like the maps itself. I'm not really surprised with the order at all.
Yeah, and we get that. I mean, it's the ultimate decider. I feel like for basically they're both so strong on Mirage that that'll be a great decider, and it might be a redemption story for NiP if it does come to the third map and they get to show us what they could have done differently on Mirage. So that's huge. Actually, I think it's like one of the more standard vetoes in terms of maps you'd expect. No off picks like Nuke or Vertigo, but you would never see that with these teams. So I think. Yeah, we've got a great series. I'm not sure if it changes too much what I feel like is going to happen, but at the same time, we're going to go map by map and learn more about today with these teams.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's about time to get into our predictions, but we couldn't do this just us three up here. James and Dan, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, Freya.
How you doing?
I've got some very nice tea in me today, so I'm ready to go, man. I've got that caffeine pop in. For me, I think even though Avangar got bodied, I still think like outside of that particular matchup, they're probably going to be in better form than Ninjas in Pajamas. So for me, I'm going to go with Avangar. I just think their pool is super deep, man. In terms of like just their strats, their synergy, just everything. They're just like I think they're one of the hardest working teams at the moment, and I think it does show in the server. So for me, I'm going to pick Avangar.
What about you, Dan? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I'm going with Avangar as well. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think Avangar have the edge here. I think their synergy will be a little bit too much. I love these maps for Avangar. I think the only map where I'm feeling NiP a bit more is maybe Mirage, personally.
Well, Chris, I'm going to throw it over to you. I think we know what you're going to be siding with, but there we go. Got the Swedish flag out ready.
Where's the Dolhurst?
There we go.
Well, what is the first map, by the way? Is it
Train?
Train. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay, map one. I'll say this is for maps, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, map one. I'll say NiP.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be siding with NiP as well. I believe in the NiP magic. I think they're going to be coming out strong and making it to the playoffs. We'll be checking back in with you guys very, very shortly to get into our first map. See you in a little bit. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting, especially saying with the maps. Was there any sort of surprises from the Avangar side? Because I know we've kind of been speaking a lot about NiP for you, Landers.
Or surprises in the veto?
Yeah, in the
veto. No, just because they both have differing insta bans, and so that just like automatically just makes it the core maps from like a few years ago. So you're going to get something. The only toss up is basically like do they play Inferno somehow, or I don't know. Like Dust 2 is probably NiP don't want to play Dust 2, but. Yeah, it's it. Not too many surprises for me. I think it just kind of landed. And it's not one of those situations where the veto is obvious and it shouldn't be. Like, it's not a situation where NiP, like yesterday, maybe they shouldn't have played Mirage, even though they're great on Mirage. Because they're playing Liquid, maybe they should have gone for something a little different. So in this situation, I think they get the maps they need. They have to play these maps.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to take a look at our Pinnacle fan poll as well to see what you guys have been saying on socials. Pretty split. I think that makes sense. Favoring NiP a little bit, 65% over there. And we're going to take a look at our Pinnacle odds as well to see where the markets are lying for this best of three. Yeah, favoring NiP. This is obviously for the first map, so kind of makes sense in with that. But of course, just getting into this, is there anything that you're particularly excited to see from them, Chris?
I'm expecting the young king of NiP to play a lot better than yesterday, Plopsky, and going a little bit, hard. And I think everyone of NiP is expecting to, step up their game a lot. But in the same time, I'm just ready to get this game going, to be honest.
Yes, exactly, and we are too. But first of all, make sure you go and check out SteelSeries, proud sponsors of ECS Season 8. They've got some awesome gaming gear over there, so make sure you go and check those guys out. Now, final thoughts, just before we throw into the game, Launders. I know you've got something to say.
Would this be a good time to talk about the player pass, to talk about
that's a great time.
Okay.
So we've got a premium pass. If you guys are subscribed to FACEIT TV on Twitch, you have access to the premium pass. It's only $4.99 a month, and it gives you access to exclusive stats and 10 player POVs. Now, Launders, I spoke to you about this before. We were talking about the premium pass, saying how awesome it is that you can watch through a specific player's POV. For this map, who are you going to be watching through?
Well, first of all, a plug for watching POVs. When you watch demos, one of the best ways to learn is watch someone through a whole match. All the boring rounds, every minute they're spent walking around, not just the frag highlights with the EDM in the background. You got to watch the entire thing, to really understand what's going on. I think James is a really good player right now. We saw him yesterday. He had the highlight reel on Dust 2. I think he'll be an interesting person to watch. And he plays so differently than other people. It's kind of like Get Right. Like back in the day, he's taking different paths than almost everyone else. So it gives you more perspective as a player. That's my player to watch, I'd say.
Well, brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Launders. We are just about ready to get into our first match of day 2. James and Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Madame Fraser. Now, what's really cool about the premium pass for me? Well, the same as Lorna said there. It's something that I only really get to say normally at majors, or sometimes the E-League when they had the thing. I can't remember the name or whatever. Yeah, the command center. As Lorna said, watching one person's POV is like the best way to learn how to play one position on a map. So for those of you at home, like you can sub with your Amazon Prime as well, and I think it's worth it because of course, yeah, it's a plug, but I think there's genuine benefit from it because let's say on train, it's a map that a lot of people will struggle with in a pug, for example. So if you watch one person's POV, then you can figure out how to play a particular position, but also how like a two-man setup works around the A bomb site, which is really important because in most cases you can't just play like one position on your own. You're going to have to depend on a teammate. You're going to have to be like covering each other and doing a lot of different things, especially like if you want to take an aggressive take of A main or something. So there's a lot you can really get out of watching anybody's POV, be it demo or be it live. That's why in China I was talking about Rox and Ethan in that one particular match because that was very demo worthy. But we'll see if anything will be. In this one, looks like Avangar will be starting on a CT side, Mr. DDK.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun, this game between these two teams. I think we're going to see a lot of explosiveness. And right off the bat, we've got Lekro as the utility man for NiP. He'll be tossing out a smoke grenade in towards the A bomb site. Maybe to make things a little bit... oh, actually, no, that goes all the way to connector. That's actually beautiful. And into B they go, and it's going to be a beautiful opening. Wow, okay. Nice start from NiP. Loving that smoke, James.
Yeah, and it's really likely to be a great finish as well, considering Twist at a forward position, but maybe a little greedy. They're looking over the smoke with 3 people alive. Buster will be able to take him out, but they're still stuck around all the choke points, Avangar. Buster has a defuse kit worth noting. Keep an eye on where he finishes up in this round. Bomb continues to take 3 versus 4. Plopsky with a forward play, and you might wonder, does he have to peek there? Well, he's just trying to slow things down yet more. But the frags keep coming for Avangar, and now it's just Lekro. What's happened? It's all turning around. Avangar showing strength in the pistol round, but again, Buster needs to get on that bomb. Ooh. He will. AdreN has the angle. That is a very unlikely retake. We always say in pistol rounds that anything can happen, but that was such a strong position for NiP.
The crazy thing is that the 3 remaining Avangar players didn't lose any HP at all. They just didn't lose any health, and this was the first move for Twist. From his perspective, it probably feels like it's totally fine to go aggressive there, but in hindsight, you're like, oh man, that's kind of really what started things off. He could have played it more defensive. You can run the kind of what if generator and start questioning things, but ultimately that was just an incredible series of kills from Avangar, really smooth, and they'll be very happy with that utility purchased. And for NiP, they'll be up against the rifles with some deagles, and if they can get a couple kills, I think they'll be more than happy with that. It's hard to imagine they'll get too much more.
Going back to that smoke grenade we saw on the pistol,
yeah.
there's a similar smoke which bounces above, near like heaven, above connector, which goes towards the IV position. But that one was one that will have to be checked in the demo.
Yeah, I want to learn that one. That's a really nice smoke.
Nice. Of course, we'll get eaten alive in the anti-eco round. It was a great effort, has to be said, from Ninjas in Pyjamas in that pistol round. It was a nice pistol, didn't go their way. But I think they did lots of things right there. It's really important if you're going to make a play into the B bomb site with numbers to be able to take the whole train yard. If you're all defending from the back, then that gives the CTs lots of angles to oppress you with, and if they've got utility, that will only get worse. So if you can move deeper as well, you're making it more likely for them to have to save if they can't get through those choke points, and it's going to be a more difficult task for them to do so. Round number 3, we're going to see 4 Kriegs, 4 Ninjas in Pyjamas. If anybody's trying to run towards that ladder room, they might run into some trouble if there are some flashes for NiP as well. On this occasion, though, they will be heading elsewhere. Nice pop flash to move forward towards the B bomb site. Keycut with some jiggling. Now, that wall where Keycut was peeking, you can spray through that. We've seen a lot of headshots, leaving people on like 10 HP, 5 HP. RPK's taken quite a few headshots, jiggling that position as well. Avangar, with not all the utility in the world, NiP will start slow after the initial aggression. That could be a meaty HG grenade, but Forest will avoid most of the damage. Crab walking by the wall.
Molotov there to try to deny some positioning in the ladder room, where Buster will be forced out for a moment, but there's nothing to really stop him just retaking the position. There is a drop, and now it's a battle through the smoke, which he'll win, and that's a beautiful start there for Avangar. Starting to feel the pressure towards this B side as well, as players try to run in from NiP. They are really having problems here. Sanji in the corner doing the damage. Now it's left to Rez, and he's been spotted, he's been heard, and he'll be fragged as well. And Avangar, they shut it down. They only lose Kika there. That's beautiful. They've got very few deaths so far.
Yeah. Kika with his general expression of disapproval. I love watching from the camera.
Wow. That's beautiful. Great work.
Yeah. By the way, it's a bit late to say, but Sanji is a pistol. He's an undercover pistol beast as well. So he is one to look out for in pistol rounds. He got 2 kills in the pistol round in this half, but generally speaking, he's like, we talk about people like Shazam, for example, with the pistols, Forrest, but Sanji is definitely in that argument as well.
Yeah, he's really molded himself into this very specific series of roles for this team, and he's not replaceable. I mean, we saw Mo try to do a good job of replacing him as he had some his visa was a bit late for China, but yeah, Sanji just has a really awesome set of skills that I think he's really honed specifically, conditioned specifically for his role with Avangar, and it just works so well.
I'm Sanji's biggest fan. That's undeniable.
Yeah, he really, there's a lot of awesomeness behind his play that is worth studying, and so I'm happy to hear that.
James has an angle on the low area. We've got some smoke grenades. Where Lekro is standing is basically where you throw the connector smoke. In the corner of this wall, line up next to the lamp, take a quick walk forward, and there we go. That goes towards connector, but they will face before it lands. Oh, that's a big bounce as well, which is going to really delay things, but Jane will deploy some grenades to try and deter the bomb plant from happening. There's a smoke into the molly, and Forrest, the last man standing, might just about get there. Jane with a P250. Buster will finish off the job. No losses for Avangar. That's a really important smoke as well to learn. So we're seeing a lot of things that I think people at home could pick up from the demo. Corner of that wall to smoke towards connector. That was a huge bounce though, so that was kind of weird. You can deploy that smoke a lot faster than it went that way. So I don't know if it was just an unlucky bounce or what. But it's a 4-0 for Avangar. Maximum loss bonus for Ninjas in Pajamas. They'll have no issue buying here, but well, it is a difficult map train. But they are no strangers to it. I remember when the new train first came out, Get Right, of course, was on a team back then, and they, in that, I don't know if it was FACEIT League or ECS, but whatever it was, NiP picked it practically every single map, which is a great way to pick up a new map.
Sanji getting close to T-main here, and right now Avangar, pretty much everything is going really well for them. Kika with the smoke close on inner, does have a play, maybe good to harass. And Sanji's actually taken down Twist in a forward position that is really, really rough for NiP, because now they've got this really big issue. There is a CT who's really deep. Now Sanji could leave this position, but NiP still have to retake it. They decide to go for a split. Having somebody that can shoot them in the back from that position is really not ideal. And there's only a minute to go, so there's a lot for NiP to figure out here in this single minute that's left. Creating space towards this Ivy position. Buster's on top of green though. And Popsky will make things a bit easier, taking down Sanji. So that's ladder control secured now. That's going to help so much.
Smoke disappears. We've got Kika watching the back. From CT spawn, but he's rotating towards B as well. So gambles are being taken in by Avangar. That's a really awkward position. There'll be an instant trade. Buster taken up, but they've seen the bomb. That allows Kika to rotate, but can he do it fast enough? 25 seconds, the A bomb site's being held now, and Plopsky is alone with Krieg. Creeping around the smoke, there's plenty of harassment. AdreN moving, getting taken out. Oh, now it's down 1 versus 1. Kika from behind. Plopsky couldn't figure out where he was, and that'll be a 5-0 for Avangar. NiP were close, but not close enough on that occasion. They made it expensive, but there's plenty of cash for the likes of Avangar. Dan, for those of the people at home with the premium pass, we need to make some picks for them to watch.
Go ahead, you go first.
All right, I'm going to pick James, since it's a CT side, and he's just special. He's unique. So he's you're only going to see his style watching him. So I'm going to pick James on the CT side.
I was going to pick James as well, so the double James.
Double James.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting is that AWPers or dedicated AWPers tend to have a lot of freedom on their teams, typically speaking, because you want the team to kind of give them many opportunities as possible because they can do so much. So it's interesting to see what star level AWPers do with that freedom and how the system kind of conforms around them. Either way, back into the action we go, and it's been all Avangar so far, as you guys can see, at 5-0. It was a good attempt from Plopsky in the previous round, at least get some damage out there, but ultimately things still looking rather, well, very strong from Avangar in their CT side defense. Plopsky quick to the ladder room, and we'll see again the default here from NiP. They don't have anyone towards inner just yet, but otherwise, they've taken presence pretty much everywhere else. Oh my god, okay, Sanji with this back to Plopsky, that's a huge issue. And another frag will be had by Plopsky to take full advantage, moving towards the E-box now, as Jame will take down Forest, but Plopsky has forward positioning. Jame going forward and takes him down as well, at least giving Buster and Kika a chance, but this is desperate.
Twist with the drive-by. I love the urgency from Plopsky. He created some space, moved into it. Limited what Avangar can do, allowed his teammate to trade for him. But it's 3 versus 2. This can still turn around. Rez trying to hold Ivy. Really important when you want to plant the bomb. Hold Ivy, hold the ladder room as well. Kika is almost got there, but just made a few too many steps before he could find Electro. And they will get eliminated completely, Avangar. So you finally have that first round on the board for Ninjas in Pyjamas. And now you have to go back to the damage that NiP did earlier on when we said that Avangar had lots of money. They won't for much longer. Huge opening for Plopsky, a gift from Sanji. They might not be able to replicate that success, but if they could break the money, they may not need to. Yeah,
it was a pretty decent damage despite going down 2 players immediately. Jame did a good job in that sense, and now that they have to try to do more. That was, it feels like that is not easily replicable, and well, don't have time to talk about that because there's a fast push into the inner bomb site, and Kika will go down immediately. And that's the timing in which Avangar only had 1 player on the B side, so Avangar looking to go for a save, I think here, a full save indeed. They know that their opponents at this time of the round have basically full utility, so they won't be able to get a chance to get out of the choke points, so it's really just pointless to try to go for it. So NiP have there's some questions for NiP too. How many players do they commit to hunting down some of these Avangar riflers? Because their money is not too amazing themselves, so may have a gentleman's agreement here in terms of nobody hunting anyone.
Okay, 5-2. That's Ninjas in Pyjamas' turn to stack cash. So again, once you get that opening round on your T side, maybe the waterfalls will start to flow. A quick toast of the energy drink. It's a tactical timeout from NiP here. He's deciding what to do in the next rounds. The money's still ropey for Avangar, but of course it did save most of their weapons. I like how quick they are with the decisions to hold on to everything they have. No grey area there.
Yeah.
Kika will pick up the Mac 10, the MP9, which Avangar are pretty comfortable with in most situations. You can often find them on Mirage, for example, with an MP9 towards the B bomb site. Often by design, so when it's a necessity, it's not much of an issue for them. One MP9 still with the FAMAS on Sanji, improved FAMAS. Lots of data to glean on that over the coming weeks and months. And off they go again. Twist with the AWP, Jame on the CT side. Twist has a good spawn though to look into the A bomb site, it seems. We've got the flashes on the side, so he's going to try and spot the cross, but I don't think he saw the CT going towards the ladder room. But the main target is the frag. We can see AdreN is in position now. So that's the early opportunity lost. So that flash towards the ladder won't flash him as he peeks. So make sure you're throwing the right flash, so you're not team flashing your guy who's peeking with the AWP. So initial map control has been taken by Ninjas in Pyjamas now. Had an opportunistic look with the AWP, didn't get anything. 2 players towards Ivy, looking to set up the smoke grenades and such. And maybe some harassment will come down the ladder as well.
Jen looking after this ladder room, and NiP looking like they're going to go for that A-bomb site play at some point. Just holding position for now. He's looking to see if there's any pushes. There's a re-smoke on Ivy. That's a bit annoying for NiP because Rez is stuck behind that smoke. Although it's just Rez. So it looks like actually they'll move towards the inner bomb site now. So Rez will effectively be a lurker from the Ivy position. And there's 2 players on B this time for Avangar, so they will have a better time defending. Although Kika closer has an MP9. And with him is Jame on the upper ground. That's actually perfect. We'll see if they can get the defense working though. Kika drops the incendiary immediately, and that will be good for a kill. Jame, oh, that's not a good miss to have happen in this moment. And they are starting to swarm the bomb site quickly. NiP looking good positionally, and are they going to look good on the frags? It looks like yes is the answer. AdreN's the last man left.
That's fortunate for Forest. It gives him all the information. Twist holding the angle. Rez waiting as well. AdreN will deal with that though, but will he continue to pursue? 23 HP, and he will choose to fall back. I like the surge into the B bomb site from Ninjas in Pyjamas, not giving Avangar the opportunity to really respond as they would like to. Of course, when you've got to stand in a molly to take that fight, you're probably going to die afterwards, even if you win the duel. Died for the cause, and Ninjas in Pyjamas moved to 3. And look at the cash now for Avangar. NiP are in a strong position to actually take the lead now on their T side.
Yeah, that was a really big miss from Jame, I would say. It's rare to see Jame miss shots like that, but it just becomes too overwhelming too quickly. His position becomes compromised immediately after a miss like that. And, I think Kika getting 1 is enough. That's great shooting there from Twist as well. So this is great for NiP. A resurgence. Avangar now, they aren't looking too amazing in terms of what they have, but they did save that AK-47. They're going to actually half-buy around it, and it looks pretty dangerous. We've got 4 HEs. We may see those all go in towards the team main position as everyone's around the bomb train here. And there go the HEs, and there's big damage, but they need to get the kills. It looks like NiP have too much position. They're wiping out for Avangar. That was a fast one.
Yeah, that was really fast. And very successful for the Ninjas. Deficit is reduced to 1. Avangar back on the buy. Jame will have Kevlar with his AWP. Sanji and AdreN picking up now. Sanji will be rocking the MP9 in this round. 3 M4A4s to be had. And another tactical timeout from Ninjas in Pyjamas. So they've taken at least 2 tacks in the 4 rounds that they've won, which is interesting. But they're only going to have 1 tack timeout left. But I mean, it's an interesting. You don't really see them used in this fashion very often, but this is pretty interesting. Keeping the focus, keeping the. It's actually cool because they can build expectation. They had some easy rounds there as they started to wear down Avangar, but now they're back on a bigger buy. There's a mental focus to be had, which is pretty promising. You can see the heads nodding as Peter sends in his info, and the tactical timeout has come and gone. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see them used in a positive fashion rather than after losing some rounds and so on.
So such an important recovery. MP9 on Sanji still. He is an expert with everything. He's a specialist. Well, we'll have an aggressive movement towards ladder room again from Avangar. AdreN's been dug in once more. Jame on the high ground there, looking to see what he can find. The Molotov there to deny his position. Very standard stuff. Forest having to invest utility to take the teammate position.
Oh, that's an interesting weapon for Ivy, the MP9. Very curious to see how Sanji plays that. Had a little peek. Oh, he's managing to deal with it as well. Spots Rez, he will shoot him in the head, leaving him on 45 HP, and he's seen the bomb. He doesn't know that that second player is towards the Ivy position, but we can see Kika now moving towards the back of the B bomb side because maybe he wrapped through CT spawn once again. James has lost his angle, but he has some grenades to try and deal with it. That won't really hit the mark there, so he's got to be careful. They don't know if there is a rotation towards CT just yet. Bus is in a position where he can look from time to time, but there could be a window where the T's sneak in. Plosky, did he see AdreN? He must have come up on the radar. It was pretty clear from our POV, but maybe it's a 4x3 issue. Plosky's in the smoke, so perhaps he has an advantage here, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see that he'll get to see AdreN first, abusing the smoke tricks. I just Kika in the 1v4. And again, I think it's worth highlighting, again, although I do it fairly frequently at this point, you'll see a lot of the pro players at the moment, it's very much in the meta. When you're standing in the smoke, you get a one-way, just as it's disappearing for a split second. And that makes all the difference in engagements, especially like that.
Yeah, that was such an awkward position around Ivy, as we said. There was no cover from Old Bomb. Kika has to give up the B bomb site, as we saw in a previous round, if he is to rotate towards CT spawn to have a look. So James trying to get his Spider-Man on. didn't quite work out for him. We've got 4 HEs, 2 of which have been deployed into that main position, and we'll see some late ones as well, which is great. Twist, maybe thinking he was safe. He's eaten a lot of damage. That's going to force him from his position. Doesn't know if he'll be pushed either. So this may be a slow one from Ninjas in Pyjamas to see if there is some wild aggression from Avangar.
Yeah. I would say with that, more pros playing with that smoke trick, James, I do wonder if we'll see more silenced M4s. We started to see more silenced M4s in general. I don't know if it's as a response to that, but I feel like in that way, there's so many times when you've got to be suspicious of people being inside of a smoke. It's become much more common. By the way, this is definitely not a guaranteed round in any sense for NiP. We've seen the scout be extremely impactful in rounds like this. And it's in the hands of James, of course. NiP looking to go for the A bomb side, it would appear. Buster's found his way into Team main, and he will get caught.
Another rough round for Avangar. Boy, it feels like a long time since their success. A nice flick from James to finish off Twist, who got naded earlier. This could get a little ropey for Ninjas in Pyjamas, although now it's only James. That is a big help because there's so many players for position. Plopsky finishing off the job. And Ninjas in Pyjamas make it to 6 rounds in a row now for NiP. All the momentum in the world. Avangar will be back on the bye once again, but how can they turn things around now? It was a great start for them, but that feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, Plofsky's been doing some great work for NiP. Creating loads of openings. Avangar in trouble now. Can they salvage the half? Fast movement from NiP out into the A-bomb site once again. Got Lecro with that forward position. His teammates going through Ivy. The bomb is leading the charge in Ivy. Lecro, nice push around Sandwich, taking down Sanji. And all of a sudden, again, James is in a highly compromised position. Only good for the one. And there's just nowhere to fall back to. AdreN, though, from behind the flames, able to find Rez. Trying to keep this effort alive. And he's actually bought some space for Keycut to move out, but he'll get taken down just as quickly. And so will AdreN. That's another round for NiP.
That was a really cool round from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They threw a lot of junk from outside A main, which might suggest a fast play into the bomb site. And indeed, they did have one player throwing the molly up towards Ivy. You didn't even see the flames there. But in the meantime, they had 3 guys moving up Ivy really, really fast. So they brought the attention towards the T-connector position. You've got Twist here with the AWP. And they put the main forces in towards Ivy. And that kind of pinched Avangar and caught them out of position somewhat because they were preparing for one thing, which, yes, there was some aggression from there, but the main push was somewhere else. Kind of a Trojan horse there. Strong stuff from Ninjas in Pyjamas, and it puts Avangar back on their arse once again. Desert Eagles and a scout for James. Completely threw Avangar off there. And that has a big payoff because, again, it just breaks their money completely. And in most cases, this should be a free round for them. So far, so good. Buster forced from his position, so good awareness from Ninjas in Pyjamas, using the utility well.
I do like this style that we're seeing from Avangar, where they just buy in some Deagles and then James always has a Scout. Just because the Scout and Deagle is actually such a great combo. One tag with a Deagle, now a player can be killed by one shot of a Scout, and vice versa. So we'll get Avangar with a good start here. A couple kills in the bag. Forward positioning on Sanji there towards Team main, so this is looking rather difficult for NiP. They will make the move into the B bomb site, but there's 2 players close, and there's a third on the way. James there with that scout has made his way forwards. Nice headshot coming in from him, taking down Forest, and now it gets even more desperate. NiP starting to run out of time.
The bomb coming up from the high ground with the smoke, hopping off, moving into a side plant, in fact, in the smoke no less. Twist. There's no spray. Maybe running if it's a trap, but it's not. Twist now in the middle, the last man standing. An iron frag from AdreN, a quick flick from Twist. A quick scope doesn't work out for him. The AWP will be collected in kind by a naked James. And Avangar winning an unlikely round. And off they go. I guess if you use as use now, you don't get that electric shot from the AWP like you used to for a while, which is a shame.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Some great shots here coming in from Avangar. Oh, that's a beautiful one from Sanji. And James to also chime in here. What a great round from Avangar there. Really making problems for NiP. And it's so difficult sometimes because, you know, a Deagle can appear and just instantly just one-shot you, and it doesn't feel like there's much you could have done differently in certain spots like that. But moving into this round, we've got Twist quickly looking for the peak with the AWP. He's not going to find anything, though. I do believe, though, he would have seen one of the Avangar players quickly move towards ladder room. So that's some information at the very least for his teammates. And Plopsky's going to be testing. Oh, I thought for a second he might go in front of that smoke. Sometimes when a player has thrown it and you're very close, you can actually abuse the fact that they're switching out to their gun and not expecting a push. But a pretty standard setup here from both teams.
Really deep into Ivy quickly. Sergi quietly rotating. Not bad from that angle. Action around T-Con in the meantime. 4 versus 4. He's got Rez now holding an angle towards Ivy. If he scopes in, then Sanji will hear him. He's holding an off angle right now. If he goes, ooh, here we go. Here is the duel, and the Krieg will come out on top. Now his position is known. He could choose to... Will it go his way? Apparently not. Oh no, it's just gone miles away now. We'll never know what his intentions were with that smoke. In the meantime, Plopsky is creeping through B. And again, we've spoken about these rotations from Kika. This is maybe the 3rd time we've seen it now, leaving the B bomb site. And maybe this is a read, but he's rotating. Surely he gets a frag onto Plopsky now. Not expecting this angle from Kika. The bomb is making its way towards default, and we've still got Lurker and Rez. So Avangar are in a lot of trouble here. I don't think they're likely to hold on to their weapons at this point. I think Rez might get some sound cues. Yeah, here we go. He's lining them up, but they're going to try and head elsewhere. So we can see Avangar's response to certain situations in how Kika plays around the B bomb site, rotating through CT spawn and something. So this might be a tell for people to try and counterplay against. The way this started, it's crazy we got to this point. 8 of the last 9 rounds for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Avangar might be in shock after the start they had to this half.
Yeah, such a strong resurgence. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about Counter-Strike. It can look, in a single half, the story can change so dramatically. It can be all about how one team is dominating, but that can just as quickly change, and that's what we saw. So double ops coming in from Avangar to mix things up for the last rounds of the first half. And maybe that's the difference maker. We'll soon find out. NiP looking to keep things fairly normal in terms of what we've been seeing from them, where they just have presence towards ladder, towards team main, towards Ivy. You know, it's just a default effectively. They got that inner presence as well. And slowly but surely they just work position. Although this time they don't have anyone working forward Ivy position. I feel like Ivy's really worked out for the NiP repeatedly. But they will abandon it and opt for a B play. And B has also worked pretty effectively for them. There's 3 players here already for Avangar though. They seem to know.
Kika eats the flashbang. Has he been spotted? I don't think he has, but Plopsky will deal with him eventually. Plopsky's been doing well this half. James spots one by Oil. Again, NiP have been so good at just pushing the envelope on this bomb site, but AdreN has made a way through the defenses. Round by default now, he takes out Liquor as well. That's a huge problem for NiP. And it looks like AdreN may have saved this round for Avangar. Plopsky doing what he can. This is the last round. They've got to go for it. Forrest in position, but Sanji in a better position. Now Plopsky is alone. 16 kills in this half so far. Looking for 18 at this point. Turns around, gets shot in the back, and Avangar will keep the score close at half-time. Getting to that 7th round. A flurry of rounds for Ninjas in Pyjamas after a strong start for Avangar, but such is the nature of Train. Once they open the door, it was the floodgates apparently for Ninjas in Pyjamas. We'll see if they can win the pistol after the break.
Cool, right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to CS.money. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
Here we go, back with Avangar and NiP into the second half. This is map 1 in this best of 3, day 2 here at the ECS Season 8 Finals, live from Arlington, Texas. And we have ourselves a lot of utility on Avangar, mostly on Buster, but Sanji as well has a Molotov. We can only expect a B play with that Molotov. I feel like it's very indicative of a B play. There's not a single smoke on NiP, so that could be beautiful. So throw these smokes into the A bomb site, but are they going B? I feel like they're going B, James.
Well,
maybe not.
I think you're wrong, Dan. Molotov is deployed around the stop sign, and the headshots will come in from Kikos on this occasion. So we've got a 4 versus 3 situation. Twist has some utility with the flashbang. There's a boost for Plopsky to look over the top. He just about spots AdreN, but he's moving too fast. Focusing on the Ivy player, but Plopsky will activate eventually. Flashbang will collide with his teammate. Lecro moving through the Ivy position. 3v3, headshots required for both squads. Plopsky on the site now, and there's Kikert to deliver his 3rd frag of the round. Looking for an ace, actually. Maybe he gets a little leery to try and find it. Twist and Plopsky keep going. They need to get the headshots here, but it's just not connecting. Kikert will, in fact, get the ace in the pistol round, 8-8.
That was really cool. I love the Molotov at camera there. It's a really nice outside play coming in from Avangar. Kikert leading the charge. Beautiful there, just eliminating every player around the bomb train. He's unstoppable here. Everything just connecting. That's what you'd like to see if you are holding the Glock. Now we've got ourselves a couple Mag-10s here, so we may get the fast inner play. That is, I think is often a great way to respond to rounds like this, especially because given that we've got 2 scouts picked up by NiP. This is the best way to deal with those scouts. Just get the bomb down immediately. It's very hard for the scouts to stop you from getting a bomb plant on the B site.
Some spam from Twist. He did great work there. And look at the follow-up. This is a disaster for Avangar. It's a 2 versus 4. Molotov into the ladder room. The bomb, though, is in the B bomb site. And you can see James trying to hold things down here. There's plenty of time. This is another situation, and things can change quickly if James can get some. Oh my god, that HE grenade, the spray. He's down to 8 HP before I can say he can get anything done. The AK and the Krieg. Kikert will take his position. No more lethal grenades left for Ninja's Pajamas, just a smoke for Rez. So maybe Kikert can do what I was going to say that James could. And just try to thin these numbers. Forrest and Rez could get taken out quickly, but as Avangar try to take position if they abandon B, which I'd be surprised if they do. Well, there are 2 scouts here for Ninjas in Pajamas. Avangar have abandoned the bomb site, and maybe if they slow things down, then NiP will spread as they have. So there'll be less players to fight against wherever they choose to go. However, if they've got to try and cross towards the site versus these 2 scouts, then I think NiP are going to take this one.
Yeah, I feel like the scouts are just like so sick right now. Better than having AWPs in this position because of the mobility and the faster fire rate, given that both players will die from 1 scout shot. So yeah, what do you do? What do you do here? I mean, the other thing too is that they don't want to give away the Krieg and the AK. That's another thing, and they may just be able to force buy back in the following round by holding onto these guns. So it's somewhat of a stalemate here. NiP not really willing to go closer, but there are guns to be collected potentially. I think it was just a cut 2 Mag-10s and a Galil though. So yeah, the upgrade to the Galil, that's what Twist will have, but the AK and Krieg is protected. And this was kind of crazy. Both these, just 2 shots there landed, but the neat shots.
Yeah.
Will be good for the kill.
I like the decision from Avangar. I feel like there aren't many teams who would just hold on to things there and probably die on the sword and give loads of weapons away. So Avangar are playing for the long game, keeping the big guns away from the CT side or by around these weapons. Won't be the greatest of buys, but maybe with the utility they can get something done here. Got the M4s coming out for Ninjas in Pajamas, a Galil for Forest. So we'll see what Avangar choose to do. We've got 2 players by Ivy, including the AK-47. Keycat will have the Krieg towards the B-bomb site. Candy Apple Krieg again, proving popular very early. The red colours are just so strong in this game. Very popular. Well, Plopsky will be entrusted with the B-bomb site for the time being. I do wonder if NiP will make a forward play into A main. There is a deep smoke there at the moment. Seems that Rez will have the first forward play into the ladder position.
Minute to go for Avangar to find success in the round. So much utility there on Buster, Sanji, and AdreN. And they're rotating around towards the A hits. I think that's a resmoke from the CTs there on Ivy, so really killing a lot of time here. Couple flashbangs and incendiary, and that's all that's left for the NiP side. So Avangar, in terms of not running into counter utility, they're in good stead, but looks like Forest will find an opening onto Keycut, and time is a huge problem for Avangar.
Lovely work from Twist. More about that flashbang later, but he makes some steps deliberately so they face it. The pop flash will delay for a time, but will it delay long enough? 17 seconds to plant the bomb. James and Buster remain. James still with that AK, takes a lot of damage though, but it's just down to Twist now. The bomb racing towards the site. James got the angle, spots enough of Twist as he tries to clear the angles, and that'll be enough for Avangar to turn things around. Buster gets the bomb plant bonus and a scout. That was a close one though. But again, with that flashbang you saw, I think, from Twist, Nico of FaZe does a similar one from the other side near the train by the ladder. And basically, it's like a fadeaway flashbang. If you make a few steps, the arc of the flashbang comes in at the top, so you're going to bait the T's to face you because they think you're going to peek. They won't see the flash coming. Bought a few seconds, but here we go. It's 9-9.
Yep, and similarly to Avangar, NiP will buy 4 Deagles. Instead of having a scout, though, Plopsy's got that UMP. And it's definitely a dangerous round on a map like Train. Avangar just defaulting for the time being. Slowly they will get some Ivy control, watching for the push around T-main. You can see AdreN there doing that. And over here towards the inner bomb side, we've got Buster keeping an eye on things as well. But now we're getting towards that minute mark, and the pressure for Avangar to start having positioning starts to become a big deal. So they'll have to make a decision. They don't have too much information, but they don't have control of T-main. That could be a problem. We'll have to see.
The slow creep, the crab walk. Ninjas in Pajamas used to be notorious for crab walks in certain rounds. Just a dry peeks from Kika. Will there be a flash for him from his teammate? Everybody knows this position that Twist is holding. Avangar are really running the clock down, which is not to their advantage, I think. They are in position to split the A bomb site. You can see on the radar them moving up of the Ivy position. AdreN and Sanji now. Maybe that will pull people away. Okay, so there's going to be... Oh my god. There we go. At least there's a trade with the scout of all things in that T-con position. The bomb needs to be collected and planted. Electro now with the Deagle. We know what he can do. James and AdreN. Looks like disaster is going to happen again for Avangar. The bomb has been left behind. James running into the site for the bomb. Oh, he's just realized now. That's a disastrous situation. That's killed so much time. It's killed the trade frags, and I think it's killed the round as well for Avangar. He has to run away.
Yeah, that's the classic situation where we're going to play this round. Oh no,
wow.
Even James is going to die. Is that after time as well?
Yeah.
Oh my god. She's left for $350. So that's one of those classic situations where you're thinking to yourself, we want to play this safe. We want to make sure all the CT utility's gone, and so on and so forth. But the cost of that is that you have to wait an extremely long time, and you're doing nothing whilst you're waiting. So then you have a huge time pressure.
Whoa, Licro.
And so if anything goes wrong, the round's basically over. So it's actually a huge risk to play, quote-unquote, extremely safe in some spots like that.
Yeah, well, safe becomes unsafe when you're just staring at the clock like that. Yeah. It's just drama. He doesn't realize he's not carrying the bomb, James, towards the end again. One of the guys who's dead needs to pay attention to that and raise that question, like bombs on the floor, bombs in T-Con, whatever. But running the clock down like that, I mean, maybe they're trying to make NiP stack or something, but again, it's getting into gamble territory, and when you have your advantages, ideally, you'd like more balance between the two. Push through the smoke from Sanji. Very well timed indeed. He's got the one rifle for Avangar in this round. That's a lot of map control to take as well. And that's a big gun to take away. Very forward positions. What in the blazes just happened? How on earth has Buster done that?
Yeah, it's quite the 180. Although there's not really any health left on the remainder of Avangar to use this position for too much, you'd imagine. Bomb will be heard, being dropped above the ladder position. That's not the best. I think Rez is there. Yeah, he's always the ladder man for NiP. This is going to be a tough spot for Avangar. Plofsky's in a great position. And Rez has gone up the ladder now as well. So I think Rez could even backstab them, potentially. In fact, he's on his way to end the round. My name is Rez, and the round is over. Beautiful stuff there from Rez. Very clean headshots. And AdreN, he's found himself an M4.
He's got no money, though. He needs to die. Kevlar would be very, very nice. So he's just running to his doom, I'm guessing. Just doesn't have enough. He'll be heard, though. And I do wonder if NiP will take him out immediately or just play the time. You can see Forrest was already just positioning to kill those few seconds. Oh, God, AdreN. Nervous stuff. But these rounds are just becoming, like, really horrible for Avangar.
Yeah.
Fashion which they're losing. That was a huge frag. The creep taken away. If Sanji doesn't die there, then it's really interesting what happens, because NiP are in such forward, vulnerable positions based on Sanji having that map control. Nice two-tap there from Rez. And again, it's another hero rifle. The one, of course, saved from the previous round. Sanji will pick up full armor. So AdreN will donate it and take a CZ75 instead. When are we going to see a full buy from Avangar in this half, I'm wondering?
Have NiP won all their rounds by timeout? Or is it two, at least like most of them?
They've won all their rounds by timeout in this
so
half.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
Weird. That's so weird.
Well, Buster's made a fast play into the B bomb, so he's got the information on position. There's the bomb there, which is big information for NiP, and for Plofsky, it is a highlight reel. That leaves Kikert alone with the Glock. Fast escalating round. Maybe he'll try to catch somebody out of position. We've got Rez in connector to keep an eye on things, but there's no cause for concern, really. Everyone's alive. Twist watching CT spawn, one side of it, and Lecro could go and watch the other side. And they're secure now. Plofsky can watch the upper area, and Forrest watches the lower. There we go. I could just see all the arrows on the radar as they are checking what's covered and what's not covered. 12-9. NiP now in a strong position. They finally won around this half, which is not by timeout. And Avangar will be on a buy. Kind of. AdreN's got 2,400.
Yeah, and this is the kind of the timing where NiP on the first half, they managed to find a recovery. And Avangar, it's been such a weird situation in some of these rounds, like just putting themselves into the most awkward positions. So, you know, one would hope that they find more normality to their game at this point. And NiP being pretty aggressive. You got 3 players at the beginning of the round in the forward area around E-Box, trying to take control of ladder and pressure T-Con. And NiP have shown Avangar that they're very happy in multiple rounds to go aggressive and take, you know, a player and put him deep in T-Con, forcing Avangar to have to retake that position. And once again, Avangar are in this, they're in that spot. They have to go and retake T-Main here. Fortunately for them, there's nobody in this position, but Lecro is making his way forwards. In fact, there's a deep smoke. Lecro holding that smoke for just a time. Will they go through it, though? Looks like they may be going through it. Yeah, so AdreN has an angle above the smoke there, on top of the pallet. Now Avangar will make their move. Forest spotting from Ebox. Strong position, although it's stronger, it seems, for Kika. Great headshot from him. That's the entry they needed. And now they'll be making their way forwards, but Rez from ladder is causing problems.
Seen the bomb as well, and they optimize the position, and there aren't many more players than that alive at the moment, Buster and Sanji, but maybe that's enough. 2 versus 2, 30 seconds, there is time to do this. Both NiP players run that connector area. Not sure if that's been determined yet by Avangar. Sanji starts to creep with that new and improved Galil, spots Plopsky, but not fast enough. Buster has maybe all the information now. We have a rotation towards the, well, I guess towards Old Bomb with the AWP for Twist. A footstep heard by Plopsky. Does he go for the spray? Is he patient? Here's the bomb planted. Time for Twist to rotate back. More steps made by Buster. Twist has the angle towards Ivy, and that will be round number 13 for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Outside of the pistol, Avangar have won a force buy, and that's about it. Not much to show for this half just yet. Just like NiP start to the first half, but NiP, of course, are in a much stronger position now.
Yeah, they surely are. They're looking really good on train right now, and I felt like Avangar was going to have a stronger start to this series, and I feel like, given what we've seen out of NiP, the confidence makes you start to really feel, you know, confident that they will have the edge in this series now. Avangar struggling to find their footing. The odds have really swung in favor of NiP.
1.1, i.e. please don't put more money on Ninjas in Pyjamas. Avangar will take their first timeout, I think. It's a rough situation. And I think just the nature in which the rounds have won have been really ruinous for Avangar in this half. They've made some smart decisions. I won't criticize the decisions when they've chosen to save, like when they had the AK and the Kree, you know, situations like that. But there's just so many repeated timeout wins. I feel like I don't think we've seen one full force buy from Avangar in this entire half. And look at this buy, because let's not forget AdreN was it AdreN who got picked off the time in one round, so he didn't have the money.
That was James, actually.
James. Now we've got the Galils out. Oh yeah, AdreN was left short because he saved the rifle and had to drop it to Sanji because he had no money for armor and so on. So I feel like Avangar might lose this half without having a single force buy. They're stuck in a choke point. Yes, that's what I mean. Thank you. They're stuck in a choke point at the moment. Kiko with 2 HP. They're switching weapons around. Sanji will get something done. So that's a huge frag again from Sanji. If he can stay alive, that would be huge. But look at the bomb just out there, completely exposed. Smoke rolling on the floor as well, but Rez will fall back.
It's definitely recoverable here for Avangar, despite being down a man. Firepower is with NiP. They've got full utility still. Both Plopsky and Twist have effectively full utility. That's a nice spot to be in. Rez on top of the train, on top of Blue. Won't be able to spot anybody just yet. I think Buster saw a glimpse of him, so he knows that he's present and is expectant on a push.
Does he think he can walk out if Rez has that angle? Like no one's watching from connector. Well, Rez has gone deeper. There'll be an attempt at a trade. This great distraction being run at the very least. What allows Buster to get the kill. Twist knows they've got to pick up that bomb at some point. There is still time though to be patient for Avangar. Moves forward, gets taken out from the back, and that leaves Plopsky alone. So maybe there's a chance yet for Avangar. Everybody creeping. There's a bomb carrier taken out. Sanji is so low. So is Kika. So this is really rough spot, but there could be a trade frag from Ivy. You can see James has the position, so even if Sanji gets taken out, there should be an instant trade frag. Surely Kika will do the job from E-Box, and Avangar make it to 10.
Yeah, Plopsky, though, he's been doing so much damage to the economy repeatedly, and this is no different. And it will be that 10th round for Avangar, so they go 10 to NiP's 13, but there's so much work to be done. It doesn't feel like they have had or have found a consistent way to open these rounds and get those bomb plants. As you had mentioned, it's been extremely awkward up until this point, so this will be where it would have to change.
Plopsky heading towards the 30 bomb. Not everybody on NiP has even got 10 frags at this point. He has been stealing all the kills away from his team. 26 for 16. So we're seeing a much better situation for Avangar in terms of weaponry, at the very least. Lecro getting cheeky. Ooh, will there be a take? I wonder if he threw a grenade there, what the situation will be. Has a quick look towards Olof, but there's a fast push from Avangar. Playing some weird timing now. Up top, Lecro's doing great work. No deagle needed. Sanji will collect the bomb by Olof. Lecro's doing a quarter of a grenade in his hand. Didn't expect a third player there. What else can Sanji do here? Forrest has spotted him. Forrest has swatted him. AWP heard. There's a tag onto James. Only one question mark as to where is Buster. 4 versus 2 for NiP. Looking pretty strong now. That's a great spray from Forrest, making life get even worse. But this is still winnable with James taking Plopsky out, avoiding most of the HE damage as well.
still winnable, but it feels like it would have to include a mistake from somebody from NiP to step out and catch a bullet from James. And how likely is that? Right now, NiP have the bomb. They've re-smoked team main, so they don't really have any incentive to be aggressive here. They have the man advantage as well. And James going to crawl his way through the smoke. He's not been spotted. I think he just caught a glimpse of the gun there. Or it's hard to say.
Radar. I think it was radar.
Yeah, but definitely knows now. He knows now. This will be difficult, though. Up the ladder. Oh my God.
4x3.
He's going to be able to take down Rez. 2 more players to go now, so there's 30 seconds. So maybe now there is a chance, but there's a flank coming in from Twist. Although that flank now might not matter too much. They have time to even rotate the bomb inner if they really want to.
They have no idea where he is, but they're making certain assumptions that he won't be around connector. Maybe Ivy. Maybe a flank. So that was a great decision. Good awareness from Avangar. He's been spotted now. Twist, 46 HP. Who peeks first? Who's a trade fragger? James up top, having a look around. I don't think Twist will find an angle for him anytime soon, but Buster, he might see an elbow if Buster keeps moving. But he's focused on James. Oh, he hasn't seen him up top yet, but surely he comes up on the radar, or one of his players calls it out. There's a flashbang to make things even worse. Twist does not have a kit, so I think he needs to be saving here, but maybe he's focusing on the damage to his opponent. There's no money, though, for NiP, so if they can save an AWP, that would be a lot, but Twist knows what he's capable of, and he will take that one away from James. Rescued by Buster, but he makes it more expensive at the very least. It has been a horrific half for Avangar so far. However, there's only 2 rounds in it now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how disgusting it looks. If they get the rounds, then that's all that matters. And they have indeed put themselves in position to accomplish that now. And this was a very awkward one. They've been pretty good in some of these awkward spots, but Avangar, that is. That was kind of crazy. James finding his way below the player on the top of the sandwich position. And indeed, just 2 rounds. Their first rounds back-to-back, and all of a sudden it's a saving NiP, although Twist does have that AWP, of course. He'll be on top of Red, seeing what he can find. And Avangar just taking it slow, but hopefully they've learned from their mistakes, James. Hopefully they don't wait until 20 seconds to push.
Hope. I don't believe in hope, Dan. I think hope sucks. They might be rewarded, though. So we see the forward plays from the CTs all over the shop. Kika gets there just about. We've seen so many multi-frags with the Desert Eagles, though. Just Avangar having unfortunate lineups. Obviously, we've got the flashbang Deagles that we saw earlier on towards the B-bomb site as well. So they must be terrified in rounds such as this. Finally, their patience pays off somewhat. There's nothing to say, really, there. 1 minute on the clock, Avangar moving forward. But how do they deal with this position? No pop. There's a pop flash, but Twist has a great angle. I can't see him being trade fragged either. And even if James was able to do something, that's an interesting throw off the bomb. Okay, well, Twist misses his shot. There's James jumping over as well. And Twist will reposition. Oh no, the block. Oh no, it's going to be a disaster. He's forced forward. He's still alive. And there is a frag for Twist. But there will be 3 very fast frags for Avangar, and the gap is close to 1. Jeez Louise.
That's actually hilarious. There's a teammate at the top of the ladder. And with the Molotovs, the way that they work as well, unless you're at the top, you probably aren't confident you're not going to get burn damage. So, yeah, that was really weird. But there we go. Avangar, they find a much more successful situation, and I feel like that's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time in anti-eco they've actually won the round this half. And we'll get a full buy back from NiP, but they don't have an AWP. So this really does change the complexion of the way these rounds will work now for them not having a sniper on Twist. Avangar instead, they've actually got full buys, and that's something we've also not really seen. So, ooh, I thought the double was coming there from Buster, but the 1-for-1 at least is good enough. It's not ideal, but they'll take it, and they actually may just go into the inner bomb site. We can see from our perspective that this is actually not a bad timing for them to do that, as the way the rotations are working for NiP is they may just now moved into position, but Twist is isolated alone, and he will get taken, or rather, he will take 2, and that's a huge issue there for the remainder of Avangar. What do they do now? They've got a minute to go, and then there's 2 versus 4, and Sanji will try to creep out T-Con. Looks like he'll be successful, but he's got to get the drop on a player, and he's been spotted. That's a fantastic headshot, but he has no idea that there's still 1 player around the Ivy position. I think Sanji is not long for this world indeed. Slecker rotating towards Hell, leaving Kika in the 1v3. It's a very critical round here for NiP to take, and it looks like they're going to be taking it, although Kika does have some time for this one. The issue is that he has been spotted. He's lost the element of surprise. And he's also lost his life. So 14-12, NiP 2 away now for taking map 1. And we'll have to see if Avangar can mount some form of a comeback. But at this point, I feel like it's looking rather grim. Just doing excellent work here. This trade not going the way of Avangar really caused so many problems. That was where NiP took an enormous advantage. You can see James not particularly pleased about any of that. And can't blame him. He's stuck on a CZ now. In fact, no snipers on the map, although there's plenty of scopes. The CTs with 2 creeks.
Getting tense now. Big focus towards the B bomb site. We can see 4 of the Ts there. And James is on the way, starting to rush in. They won't wait for James. We'll see how he plays this one later on. The bomb is dropped. There's an instant trade, though, and an instant rotation. But how will Rez play it? James waiting for him. Just with the CZ, he can focus on that. In the meantime, we've got Avangar making inroads on the train yard. As we mentioned before, we can see how deep that key cut is, for example. Got to be really hard for the CTs to get through Connector. James dancing around ladder in the meantime. Lekro's got to try and find a pick to take the focus away from Connector. Got the CTs jumping up now. That's going to be a high-risk situation for them. But still, it's a 4 versus 4. Only 2 of the NiP players with defuse kits. Still alive for the time being. AdreN gets picked off, and there goes Buster as well. These retakes looking strong on the B bomb site. Now James in a 1 versus 3. UMP not much to lose here. He goes to take out Lekro, but Rez will save the day. And NiP are going to make it to map point. Lekro comes off for a defuse kit, which will just about get there in time, I think. That's a really important round for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Avangar take nothing but the loss bonus into the next round.
Yeah, it's looking really just... It's looking like it's NiPs now all day. It's such a struggle for Avangar. I've got to say, the amount of awkward situations we've seen, I feel like there's been like a really high degree, like an unusually high amount of awkwardness for Avangar in the opening of this series against NiP. And it continues here. We've got a Scout, a couple of Eagles, and a Krieg and an AK. And it's not fantastic, is it? NiP sticking to the full rifle setup has been working nicely for them. Pretty much everything's been working out for them. James is going to get the run boost treatment, and he has been spotted. And NiP will avoid the damage. They'll just keep a check on what's going on and control the flow with their utility. Twist there to help out as well. Strong defense around Ivy.
Light on utility or Avangar at this point. They've got 3 smokes. Sanji is going to be really important because he's carrying a lot of the utility. It's a really deep smoke up Ivy. Sanji has been a problem, and he continues to be so in that Ivy position. So many picks there. And look at this. Ninjas in Pyjamas only left with 2 players. This is a fast escalating situation, and as the bomb drops, Lekro has an angle for a time, but the smoke lands just in time to save Avangar. Look at where the bomb is. It's on top of the train. That's a really bad situation. Buster with a crouch peek, not working out for him. James half health, looking for something. You know where he is now. I don't know if he realizes where both these players are. Spotted by Olof, and that's going to be a wrap. 16-12 for Ninjas in Pyjamas over Avangar. A rough start, but they turned it around and just motored towards the end.
Yeah, there was no looking back, it seems. It was really impressive to see just the confidence out of NiP. I think we have to give all the plaudits to Plopsky, who really was the guy that opened things up in a fantastic way. It started with him just popping out of ladder room, finding a key timing where he caught 2 players off guard, and then from then forwards he was fragging hard and always causing damage to the economy of Avangar. And as you say, James, there were so many weird spots where Avangar just couldn't get going on their T side on the second half. They couldn't play their game, and that's to the credit of NiP.
Yeah, I think that was a nightmare situation for Avangar. The way they lost all those rounds, it was just so long for them to get a full buy, to get maximum utility, and so on, to kind of put their best foot forward and have the best chance of taking a round. Great stuff from Ninjas in Pyjamas, no strangers to train, of course. Well, that's it for map 1. There's going to be a break, and then we'll get into more Counter-Strike action here from Arlington, Texas. We'll see you soon.